All right, welcome friends. Sean here with BlueRidgeSilverhound, and guess what? We have a video that I haven't done in a little while. It's actually been a week to the day. I didn't do a on Saturday, so we're going to do a little catching up. So this is the Pocket Change Market Report. Have you heard of this report? It's one of my favorites. This one for March 23rd, 2022. Cannot believe that we are coming up the tail end of March. Like, it just came and went. And life as we know it just kind of, well, if you guys are into coins or you're doing your hunting and your cherry picking, then yeah, that's probably what's been consuming a lot of our time. Me personally, I don't mind it because it's a very, very exciting hobby to be in, especially in today's market where we see just incredible opportunities for some of these coins. Now, just to kind of recap, we talk a lot about coins that people like you and I have found in circulation, and whether that's going through coin rolls from the bank, which that's an actual activity that a lot of people love to do, or just hunting through your kids' pocket change or piggy bank. Those are some ways that you could find some of these errors and varieties. Furthermore, depending on your skill level, you might be the type of person that likes to go to your local coin shop or maybe a show and cherry picking coins that dealers normally would just charge a regular amount of money for a non-attributed error or variety. You guys just swoop in, cherry pick it, and, add it to your collection or resell it for a nice, healthy profit. Whatever the case may be, these are a few ways that you can supplement your income and enhance your collection. It's kind of like a dual purpose type of activity, one that I'm proud to be a part of. So just to let you guys know, all the coins featured in today's video are raw. We don't normally talk about graded anything, and that's coins and currency. The big idea is a lot of these coins, if you know exactly what type of error or variety they are, maybe you have an attribution number, these will certainly sell themselves. Just make sure you take some pretty good photos, throw them up on eBay as a buy it now listing, like a fixed price, or as an auction, but make sure you do it long enough so that way it gives people time to search out your listing. All right, so those are a few things to consider. Again, one of my favorite videos to present to you twice a week. We are back on schedule. Let's go ahead and check out the last 24 to 36 hours worth of sales on eBay that you guys need to know about. Starting out with this rather innocuous 1982 Lincoln Memorial set. Now, right out of the gate, this is a large date copper. This is the bronze composition coin right here. You can tell it's a large date. It's got the large 8 in the date, and it is a Philadelphia minted coin. But this is a great variety to look out for. All right, at first glance, it doesn't look like anything special, but if you have a really good magnifier, keep in mind, if you need them, they are inexpensive. You could pick one up for under $10, and they are a must-have when you're getting into this hobby. If you don't have one, and you just figure that, your good old 20/20 eyes are going to do the trick for you, you're probably not suited for numismatics. I'm just saying. But if you need a magnifier on the cheap, I have them down below in the description box in my Amazon links. I do get paid a portion, but at the very least, it's going to give you quick access to some of these tools. Anyways, back to the 1982 Lincoln. If we look close enough at the motto, "In God We Trust," yeah, you guys see that? Quite a bit of nice doubling on there. Now, this is a good one. Me personally, this is one of those coins that has eluded me. Not for a lack of trying. They are quite scarce. And you're going to see the amount of money that this one sold for will help back up the scarcity a little bit. But this one is referred to as DDO number 1. It is also FS101 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. A lot of your doublings are going to be in the motto. So you're going to concentrate heavily on this area, "In God We Trust," and look for this same doubling. Again, with a 10 times power magnifier, you should have no problem looking for this. This particular coin in this condition, keep in mind, it's not a beauty queen, sold for $43.90. And yeah, they're kind of worth that kind of money. I believe the last one that I covered sold for around $40 to $50 as well. in circulated condition. All right, the next one that we have here is a statehood quarter. It's a 2000D Virginia state quarter. This is, believe it or not, in Denver. So finding an error on a Denver coin is quite scarce. This one right here is a broad strike error. You notice just how much larger the coin is. The rims are a lot thicker. And how this happens throughout the minting process is that the collar that normally keeps the coin in the striking chamber during the minting process was not there. All right, no collar means that the metal flow has to go outwards. It doesn't stop at the collar because it's not there. It just continues outward. Kind of like pressing your finger in Play-Doh and how all that material just kind of moves outward. Same difference here, even with metal. Now, it is worth mentioning that there is a little bit of damage on the obverse of the coin. Now, this could be just a part of the minting process. I somehow doubt it. But more appropriately, this is something that you would see on off-center struck coins and broad strikes, especially when they try and go through the machinery to pack these coins at those facilities. So when they go and pack them in rolls and stuff, these will get hung up in the counting machines and the sorting machines, and they'll end up damaging the coins you see here. Some people would normally overlook that, but for your most strict collectors of the series, they want something that's problem-free. This one right here ended up selling for $14 with 5 bids. So keep this in mind as you're going through these statehood and America the Beautiful quarters that are still out there in plentiful numbers. You can find something like this. All right, we're going to do a little bit of an update on our good old Maya Angelou quarter. Now, these are brand spanking new 2022 Philadelphia minted quarters. You guys know that there are a number of various die chips and die breaks that you could find on these. They're quite an entertaining coin to search through. Now, as of this taping, the new Sally Ride, which is the second installment in the American Women's series of quarters, is releasing this week into circulation. I would suspect that a lot of the same issues will be found on the Sally Ride quarter, so keep that in mind. This particular one right here has the marquee edge of mouth kind of die chip. We call it the drooling die chip. I didn't make that name up, but the community and the eBay market have kind of nicknamed that as such. But also, if you look on the picture on the right, it's also got a little bit of a die chip formation on the bridge of Washington's nose. So as the more advanced die chip forms into a much bigger die chip, you're also going to identify some of these other smaller die chips popping up across the coin. So make sure you're looking out for that. Add it to your attribution as you sell these. Now this one right here, these are out there in pretty decent numbers. Okay, we're seeing just a market just flooded right now of these, and you're going to see one listing later on in this video kind of corroborating just how flooded the market is. But this one singular coin that at one point sold for $30 shipped sold for only $14.07 with 3 bids. So these are plentiful out there. There's enough to fulfill demand, but anytime you could turn 25 cents into 40 times face and up is really a good day. I would gladly take a $10 profit for each coin found with this die chip than not doing it at all. Now, another one here that has made some pretty big headlines last year is the 2021 Washington crossing the Delaware quarter. Now, this one right here looks like it's circulated quite a bit. All right, this is kind of typical of a coin that is circulated for about 6 to 8 months. It's not pretty. I wouldn't necessarily consider it a high mint state grade as if it was just minted yesterday, but you do see a lot of the nicks and scratches and the wear on the highest points of the coin. But if you look right over there on Washington's hat on the reverse, this is the namesake crown die chip. This is kind of like that mid-progression type of crown die chip that just goes into the P of pluribus on the reverse. So this is kind of like the medium progression. Now this coin here, even though it has circulated a little bit, still managed to squeak out $37 with 3 bids. That's notable because this has held a pretty good kind of like price line. All right, at $30 to $40, that's been kind of like the price point for these since about December. So keep that in mind. This particular progression of this Crown die chip still has a lot to offer if you're looking to make a few bucks in the process. There's a little bit of a close-up there. You can see that the top of the chip, not quite super formed into its latest stage, still manages to touch one of the letters in E pluribus unum. All right, so this is a really nice 1996 P Washington quarter. As you can tell, it's struck off center, I would say about 30%. It's a very nice, very wild coin. It's not a particularly rare date for an off-center strike, but this is also one that I'm sure there are a number of collectors that want these and collect these by date are looking for. This one right here sold for $62. I think a combination of how nice it looks, I would probably consider it to be like a low mid-state grade, in addition to having a full date and mint mark, which does matter for saleability, is what really makes this one worth this kind of money. All right, so I can honestly say this is the first time that I have covered a coin of this early type with a full-blown cut on the obverse ever since doing the Pocket Change Mark Report, but I've known this one to exist since before I started doing this weekly spot. This is a 1917S, a very early wheat cent with a pretty significant die break right there at the base of Lincoln's bust. So this is a piece of the die that had fallen off completely, so when it strikes the coin, it's going to flow all the metal into that empty area of the die as the strike is happening and forming this big goopy cud thing right on the obverse. Again, all cuds are kings these days. They sell for a pretty significant amount of money. This one, even though the coin looks a little bit corroded, it does have its issues, still sold for $39.80. Again, always look out for these, and these show up quite a bit on 70s, 80s, and 90s coins across the board. They are quite valuable. Now here's a really standard, very common date as well for either an off-center strike or broad strike. But we figured we're going to go ahead and talk about it because these come up so frequently that you would figure the market would kind of dwindle as far as value on these. It's a 1999 Lincoln Memorial cent. It's, of course, a copper-coated zinc, so you can see exposed zinc areas on both the obverse and reverse of the coin, which is normal. This one right here is sold for $15.94. Again, it's like in that sweet spot for consistent value every week between 10 and 20 bucks. I've never seen it really dip below $10. I've never seen like premier examples sell for above 20. So that's still staying in this very nice, rich kind of price range. Something to keep in mind if you're looking to sell these. They are quite valuable. All right, the last time I covered some sort of like vintage silver ingot or bar or error, okay, it actually gained a lot of popularity. So let's go ahead and throw another one on here. Now, this is a 1 ounce bar, 999 fine, Northwest Territorial Mint bar. So this one's pretty crazy because the actual stamping of the bar is way off center. Northwest Territorial Mint, obviously, in Auburn, Washington. I think I own like 2 of these bars, and yeah, this thing is way off center. But that's really what makes it neat. I can't believe that the manufacturer of this didn't see it and threw it back in the smelter so they could try again. So yeah, they allowed this one to go out there, and yeah, some lucky son of a gun ended up finding this in maybe a scrap silver bin at a coin shop. Kind of hard to say, but this one right here, again, 1 ounce bar off center, sold for $133.77 with 4 bids. Keep in mind, there's kind of like this hidden niche market for things like this, whether it's like doubled serial numbers or misstamps or off-struck kind of dies and all that stuff. These are always popular as the sport of collecting into precious metals is gaining a lot more steam these days. All right, so here's the other coin that made some headlines in 2021. Now, this, in retrospect, seems minor compared to some of the other ones that we've seen of the same type of error. But this one right here, as you guys know, is what they call the burning building strike-through. A good amount of grease and debris was settling on the die when it struck this coin, and in just the right spot, too. Now, you'll notice on this coin that it also has quite a fair amount of what they call feeder finger scrapes. That's going to be these diagonal, if not parallel lines that are scraped along the die face and are translated onto the coin as being such. Now, it's been said that this feeder finger scrape action also attributed to what they call the field restricted strike-throughs, where the feeder fingers are actually pushing back and forth some of that grease and debris, all right? And that's why maybe this shows up here on the building. Again, it's a very nice, well-placed strike-through. It's a really cool quarter, and these are still being found out there, although this is what they consider to be a minor strike-through or a minor type of this strike-through out there. But even still, this one sold for $70. It's not nothing. Still carries a lot of weight on the secondary market. Now, I like talking about lots. So we have one here. This seller has a lot of 6 Lincoln Memorials, and they're all the copper-coated zinc era of coins. They're all off-center, but they have no readable dates. So this one was sold as a bulk listing. You can see that the coins are in relatively nice shape. I would say they're probably more BU, but there are a few that exhibit some sort of staining on there. Why would you buy this? Maybe to flip and resell on a singular coin basis if the price was cheap enough. But also, if you're just looking to enhance your collection with some nice errors, this might be a good one as well. This lot here sold for $52 with 20 bids. I would say it's probably beyond what I would consider to be a comfortable amount of money to bid on if I was looking to buy this to resell. And here's another 2-coin lot. This one a little bit more attractive. We have a 1988P and a 99D Jefferson nickel set. They're both off-center by about 60%. Again, very attractive coins with full dates and mint marks. The coins seem to be in really nice shape as well. I would say they're mint state apiece. And again, if it were me, I'd probably sell these singularly. But, for those of you out there that like this sort of thing for a collection, this would be a really good lot to own. This one right here ended up selling for $51 with 34 bids. So that's these coins in nice shape with full dates sell for a pretty good premium on the market these days. All right, we have another lot from the same seller. We have a 3-coin Lincoln Memorial lot, this time with actual fully readable dates. We have 83, 84, and 85. So we have 3 consecutive dates. Again, copper-coated zincs. These are problematic to store if you live in a humidity-rich environment. But aside from that, if you don't want them, you can always resell them individually. The exposed zinc is showing a little bit of corrosion on these, so keep that in mind. This 3-coin set sold for only $20.50 with 16 bids, and keep in mind these are 3 more difficult dates to find with off-center strikes. And again, another coin lot. This time we have a 40, 41, and 42 Lincoln wheat cent lot. They all have and exhibit curved clips. All right, so again, another really cool lot if you're looking to collect these by date. This is a good starter kind of package here of earlier coins, and this ended up selling for $26.39 with 11 bids. And our feature coin of the week is going to be a coin that at first glance will look like it got hit with something. Like truly, it got smacked by a beat-up, mauled ball-peen hammer or something, all right? And that's a pretty easy mistake to make. First of all, if the coin's not bent, more than likely it's not that. Second of all, if the coin is not showing any transfer of the hit into the reverse to where it's flattened some areas on there, more than likely it's going to be an error. All right. In this particular case, this is a major strike through, just a big old smattering of grease that was on the die. And of course, it was probably hardened at this point with all of the debris and metal shavings that was in there. Just impacted all together. And when it strikes a coin, it's going to look like this. So this is a really neat error. Again, I would say a vast majority of people, both numismatists and regular Joes who don't know anything about coin collecting, will see this and just automatically say it's damaged. This one right here sold for a really nice amount of money too, $77 with 26 bits. There was a lot of activity and a lot of people wanted this coin. The more major a strike through is, the more desirable it's going to be. Alright, so we have a full crown die chip on this 2021 Washington Crossing the Delaware, and I will reiterate, this is a Philadelphia minted coin. Now keep in mind, this is a coin, an example, that has circulated quite a bit. I would say it's well beyond mid-state territory. It might even be like AU55 because it's seen quite a bit of circulation. There is still a little bit of luster in the protected areas, but you could tell. This is what a fully formed die chip atop Washington's hat will look like. Again, this made headlines last year. Still, a $65 bill for this one. So, again, a very valuable error on a relatively newer coin that you really need to keep an eye out for. Now, we don't have much currency to talk about. We have a few, but they are quite relevant. Here's the 1969A $1 bill. And as you can see, it does have a misaligned third print. So that's your serial numbers, your district seals, things like that. They're all off kilter and they're overlapping some of the other design elements of this note. Most notably, the green seal is way far south of where its normal placement is. Again, these are notes that normally will get overlooked if people don't know what they're looking for. But this is a really great nab right here. And it sold for $47.49 with 31 bids. And there's a look at the back just showing just how perfect the thing looks. It's very well centered and nothing to note. All right, so we talked about this one on the Live Coin Q&A live stream. Okay, we have officially some 2022 Lincoln Shield cents with known die clashes. All right, this is really neat. We did see these in 2021, and now there is confirmation of 2022 coins to look out for. Here's a really great example of a clash die error example. Here's some close-ups here of what's in front of Lincoln and what's behind his head. You're going to see that there is some pretty powerful clashing here, and this is fantastic. If you're able to find these, seeing as how they are out there for the taking, this is going to be a really good coin to sell because more than likely if you find one in BU rolls, you're going to find more. So what did this one ended up selling at? How about $33.90 in this market? I would say I'm a seller all day long with these because there will be more that will pop up throughout the year. Yeah, I know you guys are tired of the crown die chips, but here's another one, this time a little bit earlier progression, all right? It's not a fully formed crown, but I will say this example is a whole heck of a lot better looking as far as grade compared to the previous example I talked about a few minutes ago. Again, another great coin to look out for. This one right here sold for $123 with 3 bids. That is much more like it. This is the price level that I'm more used to seeing. Again, grade is everything. The higher the grade, the more that you will get for your coin. All right, we got more clash die shenanigans. This time on a 1983. They call this the Jailhouse Lincoln clash, which is kind of cool because it looks like Lincoln is behind bars. But this is actually a very strong die clash, and these can pop up anywhere on any date of Lincoln cent from the 80s and into the 90s. But there you go. That's what that one looks like. You can see the clashing on both the front and back of Lincoln right there. This is a really strong occurrence of this type. And this one ended up selling for $28.75. Notice that the market is extremely healthy for really nice, strong clash dies. Keep this in mind as you're searching through your coins, and as you come across these, they will command all the respect and all the money they deserve. Now, I love talking about this when it does come up, but this is a gorgeous 2017 P Effigy Mounts ETB quarter. Guess what? Look at the reverse. This will stump a few people because it really doesn't look like anything, because it does have those funky kind of like playful mounds on the reverse. But you guys see that strike through? Yeah, it's the one that's right over the body of the bird right there. Again, that's an amount of like balled up hardened grease and debris sitting on the die that strikes the coin, and we'll show that anomaly on here. Again, take a look at the coin. It's a beautiful, gorgeous example. This one right here ended up selling for $89, which is a really strong amount of money. And this one is a lot more scarce than some of the more modern types of strike-throughs that are similar to this. So if you do come across these, all right, I would suggest that maybe you would hold on to them, because this would fill up most gas tanks out there today. All right, so here's that listing. A seller has a number of rolls of these brand new Maya Angelou quarters. Full 40 coin rolls. This seller has over 10 lots available and has sold 1 or 2 of them thus far. But you're guaranteed 40 coins with that little jewel die chip on the corner of Washington's mouth. They could be all shapes and sizes, different progressions. But I've also come to find out that there's also some die chips in God We Trust. All right, which is cool. This is going to be a really good kind of like hunting type of lot right here. And I think it's sold for a little bit less than I would consider it to be worth it. I think it's underpriced by a fair margin. But this roll right here, believe it or not, sold for $95. If you were to buy this and sell the coins individually, you will more than likely double your money. All right, because they sell for between 10 and 20 bucks. Even if it's the medium progression, those are the ones you want to sell. But this is a really cool kind of like treasure hunting type of roll. And if you do come across large quantities of this, this might be a good way to unload your quarters, is by selling it by the roll. All right, Coins and Cards is back again with another big variety. How about a 1972 Lincoln Memorial set? This is, of course, doubled die number 1, or FS101 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. You can just see the massive amounts of doubling in the motto, on Liberty, and the date. This one is unmistakable. Again, it's a chase piece among a bunch of hunters out there that love going through Lincoln cent rolls. This one here sold for $520 with 31 bids. All right, now this one's pretty neat. I haven't seen one of these in quite a while. It's a 1990 $20 bill. All right, as you can see, something's funny here with the serial number. As a matter of fact, this suffix letter, which is supposed to be an L, is partially missing and kind of like turned up. All right, what this is a turned letter, or if it was a number, it'd be a turned digit, where that little wheel that holds these letters is partially turned during the printing process, so it will only print however much is exposed to the paper. Yeah, this is really neat, and again, this is a really cool type of error to find in currency. You probably won't see these too much in today's printing processes, but you could go back as early as maybe like 1996 and still find these out there. This one right here sold for $80.50. A really spectacular amount of money for this error that most people will overlook. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything. It looks like a just out of focus mess, but this is actually a 1985 Lincoln Memorial cent that's off center by about 35%. Trust me, it is. And it is a BU coin. This one right here sold for $19.99. Again, make sure you keep an eye out for your resolution as you take these photos. If someone were to blow up the image, it has to be clear and legible. If it's not that, time to go back to the drawing board. Save your listing. Save your money. All right? Do everything you can to protect those two. Now, this is a really neat 4-coin lot right here. We got 4 Roosevelt dimes. We have a couple uncentered broad strikes. We have some off-center strikes. But all in all, this is a really nice compilation. All right. If not to add to your collection, maybe you buy this and split it up. Sell them individually. That's what I would do. So we have a 95p broad strike. We have what looks to be a 96p off-center with a partial date. And 2 97Ps that are off-center by about 30%. Again, if you want, you could sell these as a lot, but keep in mind you are going to sell it for what they call bulk price. You're not going to realize the full potential of these in the marketplace. This one right here is sold for $80, so that's $20 per coin. There is some money to be made here. You could probably turn this and make $40, somewhere around there, because these are quite scarce. And of course, there's a lot to look out for in older coins. All right, this is an 1844 over 81 over date large cent. This braided hair cent right here doesn't look to be in the most spectacular of conditions, but this is something that you could cherry pick all day long for like 15, 20 bucks and add it to your collection, especially if you enjoy this kind of period of collecting. I do. So more likely I would probably keep this in my collection. But when you see this here up close, you can see the top of the 8, top curl, and then the top flag of the 1. Keep in mind, back in the heyday, these numbers were stamped into the working die individually. All right? They were never part of the master hub. So when you know, again, this is the human element of error played into this. It's just as easy for a Mint employee to accidentally tap in a number punch in the wrong area. And that's what happened here. This one sold for $55.98 with 13 bids. Again, incredible amount of money considering the condition of the coin. Now here's an update of the absolutely filthy nasty 2021 die cracks, the K3 to K7s. And also the Cuds. Now, we didn't have a Cud sell in like the last 2 weeks. Those are drying up. But there are quite a few of these die crack coins right here. 2021 that you see here. This one looks like it's circulated a little bit. It's got a few nicks and scratches. And furthermore, this seller is brand new. They have a feedback of 0. So they are literally getting started with selling this bad boy. I mean, there are worse coins you could sell for sure. So even with being a new seller and this coin being circulated, where are we looking at as far as value? This one right here sold for $129.49 with 15 bids. That is a really good amount of money for a coin that has not exactly the best looking one out there to buy. But for being a brand new seller, I would take that all day long. Well done. All right, so I think the seller had resold this nickel. It's an 84p Jefferson with multiple events on there. You got a Cud on the obverse. You also have a few rim Cuds littered all throughout the coin on both the obverse and reverse. But most importantly, it's also a dual error event with some pretty strong heavy die clashes. You just see that right there. Again, this is a coin that if you owned, you would probably stare at this thing for, you know, minutes at a time, because this thing is just a feast for the eyes. And you know, these again are spectacular, and they have a lot of wow factor, especially if you own it and you're ready to sell. There's going to be a lot of attention paid for these. This one right here sold for $150.60 this time around with 14 bids. Well done. Another off-center Jefferson nickel, this time a 1980p. All right, so this one's off-center by about 65-70%. Again, another key date that you don't see pop up in off-center struck Jeffersons. I would imagine that this one is needed somewhere in some date collection. This one sold for $23.55 with 27 bids. The coin looks like it's circulated a little bit. Now this one's neat, but it also tells you guys that it doesn't matter what a coin looks like. If it is a variety or error and you can attribute it, there will be a buyer for it. 1999 Lincoln Memorial. What do we know about this date? You could find the coveted wide AM reverse, which this one truly has. You can even see it right here without me even getting close to it. It does have that gap between the A and M. But you know what else it has? It looks like it has a bunch of goop and gunk and used chewing gum on the reverse of the coin, not to mention the myriad of different staining on this. Most people would avoid coins like this, but there are a number of people that want an affordable example of a very scarce key variety. This one right here, surprising and shocking as it sounds, did sell for $51, and there was a total of 8 bids that brought it up to that price level. And again, here's a less than beautiful looking Franklin half dollar. This one looks like it's cleaned a little bit. You can see it on the obverse there, the weird streaking. It's a 52D. Again, this at first glance looks to be just silver melt value fodder right here. But look at that. It's got a split right on its edge. What do they call this? Well, it looks like a clam, and that's partially true. It is a clamshell lamination. All right, the impurities and the actual overall makeup of the composition allows for some splitting even before or after the strike. This one is right on its edge. That goes right through the coin. You could literally split this thing in half with enough force. But obviously you don't want to do that. It's more valuable in this state right here. Yeah, clamshell laminations are quite scarce, but they do pop up on occasion. This one sold for, wow, $299.99. Whereas if you did split it apart, it would probably sell for half that. So keep these together. And then finally, we're going to end it off not the way that we started. It took us a good 15 listings to finally showcase our first piece of paper money. And we're going to end it off on this beauty right here. A 1995 $5 bill. This is a small head type. The older outgoing design, but yeah, it's missing a lot of things, right? District seals, serial numbers, what gives? Well, it was all inadvertently printed on the back of the sheet. So there are a number of these that do exist for the same block and same serial number set. It all got printed on the back of the sheet, which has happened on a number of few dates, and they are highlighted all across big auction houses. This is a beautiful, I don't even know why it's not graded, but in this case, it didn't need to be. It ended up selling for $345. Just a beautiful, stunning error. But yeah, that's going to go ahead and close her out. For this edition of the Pocket Change Market Report, I'm your host, Sean with Blue Ridge Silverhound. I would love to hear which one was your favorite today. There is a lot of really cool errors and varieties to look for and change. It could really make a difference in your life. And you're playing with house money. Yes, I've said it again. Until I turn blue in the face, that is a quote that I'm going to live by when you are searching for these coins. Go to the bank, grab yourself some rolls, have fun, and cash in. There's a lot to love in today's currency and today's coinage, and a lot to make. That's going to go ahead and do it. Coinaholics, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell. You know what it does. Love you guys. Really, I do. We are discovering together. Take care, and I'll see you on the next coin video. So long.